Hey everybody, I'm pleased to announce that this episode of the Honey and Absinthe podcast is brought to you by New Masters Academy, the world's #1 online art school. Many of our teachers and even the teachers who taught our teachers are teaching at New Masters Academy. So we highly recommend this program. Check out the link below in the description for a free 7-day trial to check out all the cool art stuff that they have. Thank you, New Masters Academy. Hey everybody, welcome to the very first Honey and Absinthe Coffee Break podcast. I'm your host, the background designer for animation, Vincent.
I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is normally a podcast about art, business, and whatever we feel like. But since this is a coffee break episode, it's truly an episode about whatever we feel like.
Mm-hmm. And today, for the very first episode of this podcast, we are going to talk about My Hero Academia.
Yes.
Our relationship with it, how we came across it, our feelings about it, what we like about it, what we love about it, what we dislike about it. Mm-hmm. We don't really have anything we hate about it. But yeah, you're going to enjoy us talking for hopefully more than an hour about
anime.
about anime.
Yeah. So let's start at the very beginning of our relationship with anime in general. So
do you want to start? I don't know. How early do you want to start? Do you want to start from like how we got into anime, like the very first, or do you want to talk about like one of the most influential ones when we were like teenagers, preteens?
I want to start with like how we got into it, I guess.
Okay, sure. So, how about you? Do you want to go first?
Sure. I can't really remember exactly when I got into it. I don't really count Pokemon and stuff that would show up on your Saturday morning cartoons as anime because I just thought it was Saturday morning cartoons. So my first anime actually was probably Sailor Moon because I would check out the VHS tapes back in the day at my local library. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I ever watched it in order.
We're so old.
I know.
VHSs.
I'm showing our age. And yeah, that's how I got into anime at a very early age.
And do you remember those VHSs? They would have previews for other anime right before the thing would come in, and then you get really excited. Like, oh, what's that? Anime? And then you try to scour your library to see if they have any of those titles available. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Kids are so lucky these days.
So you can just find it on the internet.
I know. You could just go on Crunchyroll or whatever.
Illegal website. We were on like live streaming on TikTok, and then everyone was watching anime on the same website. It was so funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's
right. And then after that, I think I got into like Miyazaki movies very early on. So like anime movies, like more high budget stuff. And then from there I became like a full blown weeb somehow. And like by the time like middle school came around, I remember like torrenting back in the day, these animes because back then it was really hard to find any way to watch anime, especially like I got to a point where I wanted to watch it almost immediately as it would come out in Japan.
Right.
So there were like subbers who would sub these like immediately after, and I would wait like about a week before I can actually watch it. And yeah, I think it was because of Toonami. Like I remember being really in love with Yu Yu Hakusho, and Inuyasha, and Rurouni Kenshin, and everything that was on Toonami at the time. So I think Toonami is probably a gateway to toward anime for a lot of people. Yeah.
For anime, definitely.
Yeah. So what about you?
For me, I would agree with you. Like Pokemon, Digimon, whatever was on Saturday morning cartoons doesn't count because that was basically spoon-fed to us every morning. It's different when you seek out things. So I'm in the same boat as you. It seems as though the library is one of the best places to expose yourself to anime or manga because it's like a library. So lots of people donate, collections or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I would go to different libraries all around the LA County, and certain ones have a lot of comic book stuff, like a lot of Marvel, DC stuff, but then certain ones, I remember one of my favorite, the Temple City library had a lot of anime stuff too. So I would just go around, either skate or my parents would take me to different libraries, and I would either rent, like, for the first time I exposed myself to, Genesis Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop in cassette tape form.
Oh, God. Cassette tape or VHS?
VHS tape. Yeah, VHS tape form. And then I would read the manga, which, it's never complete. Like, you always have like 3, 4, then 8, and then 11. It's like, it's never complete. But, you just kind of look around and I would just rent everything. Even if it like didn't look like something I would be into, I would just at least like take some time to rent it. So that was a huge deal when I was growing up. And then I found like these how to draw manga books all around Los Angeles in the library. So I would rent those and then draw. So it was a big deal for me to go to the library and look at all this stuff. And like, I didn't even have cable too. So I would have to really find whatever I could find in the library, or like, other online means to obtain the anime. But like, I really want to talk about one anime in particular, especially one that kind of happened when we were kids. We were basically like, I was 13, you were probably 12. And the reason why I want to talk about this anime is because it must be what the kids are feeling like. The kids, like the 12 and 13-year-olds now, what they must be feeling about My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
So for us, when we were 12 or 13, I remember I think I was either in 7th or 8th grade when I first saw Naruto for the first time on Shonen Jump, because it was really a big deal back then. Shonen Jump was still like in publication. You could buy the big stacks. They used to be as fat as telephone books, and then they got skinnier and skinnier and skinnier until they went completely online, or whatever it is they do now.
Yeah.
But man, there at the time the lineup used to be Hikaru no Go, Shaman King, Dragon Ball Z, obviously. At one point, and a little bit later, Bleach, One Piece, obviously, and then they had Naruto, and Naruto was like really hot when we were that young. And I remember just be really into like all the characters. There's so many, and that anime has so many. Like every character has like their strengths and weaknesses, and like they're very unique to themselves. So you really kind of gravitate to one. My favorite, obviously, was Shikamaru. But when Naruto first came out, it was a really big deal. Was it a big deal for you?
Oh, yeah. Well, so for me, I had discovered, like, we both, it seems like, discovered Naruto before it became mainstream in the US.
We were super early.
Yeah.
Like super early.
I mean,
and this was, okay, so we were like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
That's like 2000 and what? Like 2004, 2005, something like that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere around
Some
that.
of you were born.
I know.
Some of you were born.
That's so crazy. But I said how like I was really obsessed with like Yu Yu Hakusho. Around like 6th grade-ish was when I got into that kind of stuff. And I remember at the time I was really into like shonen anime. So Yu Yu Hakusho, and then I watched Hunter x Hunter. The old one.
Dang.
And then when Naruto came out, like when it came out in Japan, I remember hearing about it because I was like so deep in that weeb culture that I was like, oh, it's the hot new shonen anime. So I remember watching it for like a good while before it came out on Toonami. And I remember like getting really into it almost immediately because I hadn't seen anything like it in like new. Because like Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho they weren't new. And they're like 80s anime.
It was continuing that line of shonen, especially in Shonen Jump, like that thing. There was also One Piece too, but when Naruto came out, that was like a really, really big deal.
Yeah. So I remember like when it came out, and I was already really into it. I think I really like Gaara, and so when it came out on Toonami, then it was like a big deal.
Oh yeah. So I think I got really into Naruto, so much to the point where like you guys don't understand when Naruto was first coming out, it was really hard to find a headband. So what I would do was I would take a piece of cardboard and then, you know, one of those like blue scarves that you see all around LA.
Oh my God.
All the time. I'd like take the cardboard and then put foil around it and then crudely draw the leaf, the ninja leaf, like really poorly, really poorly.
Oh
and then I would staple that foil cardboard concoction
Oh my God.
onto the headband and then tie it around when I was like 12 or 13 and then wear it so proud because I would walk around and I'd see other kids go, hey.
I'm having so much secondhand embarrassment and cringe because it's too real.
Dude.
Like, I remember so many people doing that.
Yeah, and then when I finally got like one, I wanted to be cool. I wanted the black one. I didn't want the blue one. The blue one was like too pedestrian. I wanted like the black one. And then when I finally got my first one, I was like, this is amazing. And then that never left my head for a good month probably. But yeah, so that was a really big deal for us. And I think for me, the reason why Naruto is so special is because it follows that great shonen thing of having really great characters that you bond with over the course of it's always a very, 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 very long story. Mm-hmm. And I just can't help but think like I can't describe how exciting that was for me as a 12-year-old. Like, I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like for you older people, you know, the 80s crowd who loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Transformers or Marvel or whatever it is. Like, I don't know how excited you were or the fervor behind that, but I do remember Naruto coming up and it being like, it taking over the world.
Yeah, because that's when it came on Toonami was when it became super mainstream.
Oh, we should talk about the first time we experienced it on Toonami.
Yeah.
We should go first.
Okay, so because I was already like super into this culture, I heard that it was coming to Toonami before it premiered.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of like everyone's favorite classic anime is you get exposed to it through Toonami,
Yeah.
like Gundam Wing, Tenchi Muyo, fucking Inuyasha, Sailor Moon, everything you could ask for, like everything that became super popular, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Fooly Cooly, like everything came here. So when it was finally coming out on Toonami, we were excited, like things on my end, we were super excited.
Yeah, I was excited, but I was also kind of like wary because I still am of the camp of like, I hate dubbed things. I know it's a lot better now, but back then it was really bad. So I was very like, I'm kind of curious what they're going to do to their voices. And it's kind of nice that anime, this thing that I like so much, is coming to Toonami, and this thing that I've been into for a little while now. It's like going to be shared with a lot of people who've never seen this before. So it came out, and I remember like having like these conversations about how hyped we all were, me and my group of friends, of like, oh, Naruto is coming to Toonami. And then the night it comes out, we're all like, today is the day.
It's time.
And then you hear Naruto's voice for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, why? The whole time I was watching like the 30-minute episode, I was like cringing really hard and being like, this is not my Naruto. And I remember the next day coming to school and like just venting with all my friends about how awful their voices were. But as much as like me as a super weeb could complain about it, what ended up happening, because it did come to Toonami, was that was the moment when Naruto just like blew up. Everyone knew what Naruto was from then on. Like everyone had to make their own headbands before.
Yeah.
Now everyone could just buy one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, So in 7th grade was when it was still, it didn't come to the US yet. So we were all really excited. We'd make our own headbands. We were following along with the manga. But then in 8th grade, I think like a year later was when it went to Toonami for me. And I remember the day because I don't have cable. I didn't ever have cable except my mom used to take care of this, really well-to-do lady in Beverly Hills as a caregiver. So she would have cable, and like she would be gracious enough to like, have me around to hang out and watch cable and, whatever, be a little kid. So I was really, really, really excited. And I was like, I have to see this. But unfortunately, to get there, it was a lot of traffic from my house. So I knew the premiere was at a certain time. And for whatever reason, I'm sure it was traffic, I was late for most of the episode, but I caught the last 3 minutes. And I remember just like hustling to the TV, just like wanting to watch it. And immediately, the last 3 minutes, I hear Naruto's voice and I go, what? What is this? What is this? What is this? Who allowed this to happen? What is this? And then I don't know. And then I was a little embarrassed because I was telling my friends, everybody, how like Naruto was going to be the next Dragon Ball Z. Like it was going to be that recognizable. And without a shadow of a doubt, I would say right now it is. Yeah. In 2020, of course.
Everyone knows what it is.
Everybody knows what Naruto is now. Yeah. But at the time, like Dragon Ball Z, it's just like that's the anime. Like even the people who weren't into anime know what Dragon Ball Z is. And I was telling everybody that's what Naruto would become, and that happened, and I was really embarrassed. But then eventually it caught on, like poor dub or not, like just the way, all the cool arcs, everyone's favorite arcs just really come out. And even though it's poorly dubbed, I mean, it's fine. It's fine because the story is fine. Yeah. But the reason why I wanted to talk about Naruto is because, I see that much enthusiasm for My Hero Academia.
And exactly the same kind of hype and the dedication and the way it's becoming mainstream now, especially because anime like My Hero doesn't necessarily need to be on Toonami anymore to get mainstream, because we have things like Crunchyroll and Funimation, all these streaming services that make it really, really easy.
We could buy episodes on demand, I think, if you want. Yeah, there's so many means, like ways in which you could watch this show. Like
we are seeing the exact same thing happen. The way like we grew up with Naruto, the same thing is happening right now with My Hero.
Right.
So I've been listening to this audiobook called Influence by Robert Cialdini. And I mentioned this before in a previous podcast, but I have gotten kind of near to the end of the audiobook, and it's where he's talking about people like to be contrarians a little bit, and like if there's official censorship or that kind of thing, it encourages people to do the thing instead of not do the thing. And it reminds me a lot of like what happened to me when I put out my Why I Quit My Job at Disney video. It's like everyone trying to ignore me and trying to like censor me and don't watch her video, whatever, it's so dangerous. How? But like the book showed me how I kind of accidentally fell into this influence trap or whatever, or they did, or maybe they did. But yeah, this audiobook I've been listening to is so fascinating. And if you want to learn how to not be manipulated by people, or if you're into business and you want to learn how to use these tactics as marketing techniques, take a listen to Influence by Robert Cialdini, and you can listen to this book if you go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast for a free trial of Audible, where you get 1 free audiobook and 2 free Audible original audiobooks. So three audiobooks in total. In the past 2 months, I've gone through 2, so 3, you'll fill up months of your time. And it's completely for free unless you decide to sign up, and whatever money you throw at them, it helps us out a little bit. because it's an affiliate link. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. But if you sign up for the trial, it's completely free. 3 free audiobooks. So go to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast.
So I guess now would be a really good time to talk about how we discovered My Hero Academia.
Yes.
And let's go way back in the way back machine to 2016.
Yes.
We were at a ramen shop.
Yeah.
And in this ramen shop, there were, in a lot of them, especially in LA, they have manga stacked up. And I remember just waiting for a table and then cracking open one of them and seeing this image of Naruto, like old man Shippuden, tall with short hair, Naruto, kind of like, you know, I don't know. He's like interacting with Midoriya in some way, like either patting him in the head or something. But it was a very like passing the baton moment and going like, yeah, you'll do great, kid.
Yeah,
kind of
like passing the gauntlet on to the next one.
And then I was like, that's such a big deal, and that's such a huge gesture, and that kind of telegraphs to everyone what this thing is going to be. And I remember looking at the character and going like, you know, all of these things from One Piece to Naruto, Inuyasha to Yu Yu Hakusho, it all depends on the main character. And like, who is this main character? It's this little runt dude with a funny looking jumpsuit and wild hair, but he's drawn really well. Yeah. You know?
I remember.
And he's really interesting looking.
You were browsing and then you showed me the picture and I thought it was such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Knowing what
beautifully like composed too.
Yeah. Knowing what Naruto is and then seeing like one manga artist hand down the gauntlet to another one is kind of like nice too.
Yeah.
Like you don't really see that very often,
especially
in American culture.
Of course, yeah. Especially being there from when Naruto, like America got the Naruto bug.
Yeah.
So it was such a big deal for me, and I had no idea what this thing was going to be about.
Yeah.
So I just looked out for that character. It's a funny-looking dude with dark hair, dark spiky hair, and a weird, funny-looking jumpsuit. He kind of looks like someone who could fix up a toilet. Like he doesn't really look like a superhero, or he doesn't look like a typical shonen character. But I mean, cool. I'll look out for this little dude, and then I think you and I at this time around 2016 were preparing for Anime Expo. I'm not sure if it was our very first one or a second one. I think it's our second one, but we took very, very careful time and consideration as to what anime was coming out that season or around that season to make some really, really neat, interesting art for people.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember if it was 2015 or 2016, but I do remember, I think it was 2016 because it was the year I got hired.
That's right.
At DreamWorks, and I remember right before I got hired, I had a moment of like frustration, and I don't think anger is the right word, but like just feeling like if no one's gonna hire me, I'm going to make my own job and I'm gonna go all in on this independent artist conventioning thing.
Because it was making us money.
It was. Yeah. It was making us a lot of money, and I was like, more than half of my time was spent doing portfolio work and tests and so I was like, what would happen if I spent all my time with this convention thing and this independent artist thing and going all in on this, which is funny. I always tell Vincent, man, 4 years ago, if things had been different, life would be very different right now because I would be on the path I'm on right now, but just 4 years ago.
Earlier,
yeah.
And you'd always be wondering what if with animation.
Yeah.
And now you know.
But now I know.
Yeah.
So, but back then it was like, luckily I got hired, but at the same time we had already committed to like 8 conventions that year. Yeah. So with Anime Expo, we always do a lot of research. We actually try to watch all the anime that's coming out, at least like the pilot, because you can, at this point, we're such experienced TV watchers, anime watchers, movie watchers that we just kind of know what it's going to be or if it's going to be any good.
Yeah, and if it's one of those that gets better after the 3rd episode, I mean, like, we don't have time for that.
Then. Yeah.
If it doesn't grab us by the pilot, it's like, okay, next. Yeah.
So that year we had watched. There was so much good anime that year, but we watched so much anime in preparation.
Yeah, I remember we watched Barakamon with the calligrapher.
Yeah,
and the kid.
we watched like Haikyuu, Free.
Did we watch Erased that time?
We watched Erased.
Erased. We watched Ajin too.
Yeah, and a bunch of anime names that I can't remember.
That was a good season.
Yeah,
which I thought was normal.
Yeah. We were like, oh, it's been so long since we got back into anime, and we watch all this anime, and it's all so good.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And we were like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Anime is just as good as I remember it to be. And then like a season passes, and we're like, oh, no.
That was just a fluke.
Yeah. But then a part of that group was My Hero.
Yeah.
And so we started it, and at least for me, it didn't hook me right away like Naruto hooked me or Yu Yu Hakusho hooked me or Hunter did.
At the same time, One Punch Man came out this like a little bit around the same time, and because that was so obviously trying to be in your face entertaining, I gravitated to that one first. Whereas, as in every great shonen thingy is, it's usually a slow burn.
Yeah.
Like the first 10 episodes are usually set up for like the next 30.
Yeah.
What I mean?
So I remember watching like the first episode or so of My Hero, and I felt like, yeah, this is fine. It's very fine. But it didn't like make me go like, oh, this is amazing. Or that like I need to watch the next episode kind of feeling.
Because these episodes were coming out week by week.
Yeah, we're so early.
Yeah, we were super early. And like, I don't think Midoriya gets into the class until, I don't know exactly, guys. I'm sorry, but I want to say around episode 10 to 15-ish.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of episodes of like Midoriya, Bakugo, All Might. Midoriya, Bakugo, All Might. And it was just like really, it doesn't, like, because I was about to say, like, when Midoriya finally is in the class, that's when it starts, like, that's when My Hero really shines.
Yeah.
It's like honor and legacy towards the other shonen stuff that's come before it. So it feels very, like, a lot of the times it feels very Naruto at that point too. But to get there was kind of a slog, week by week.
Yeah, because it hadn't come out really in the U.S. yet.
We didn't read the manga, so we don't know what to expect. I mean, like, we're really busy.
Yeah.
We're trying to find work in animation.
Yeah, like you were trying to find work. I was working at that point. And we were trying to make all this work for Anime Expo. So we had a very limited amount of time in order to research. So we can't read the manga especially at this point.
As much as I'd love to, because you and I were very much the types to like lay around in bed. There's times where you're in bed and you're just like reading manga, or I guess for you, reading in your computer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But for me, I would read in my bed.
Yeah.
But so when My Hero first came out, the Anime Expo was coming. I'm not sure what episode it was on. I want to say somewhere around episode 15-ish was where it was at by the time Anime Expo was coming out. Mm-hmm. And I think you made a little piece. You made a, if we can find it, we'll show it right here. Urakaka and Midoriya.
Yeah.
Very old. Very like, look at the style. Look at the way it looks. Look at the way it looks.
Oh God. Cringe.
Don't cringe. You didn't know. I mean, like, look, I wasn't kidding. He kind of looks like a plumber. It was 2016. How was I supposed to know what he turned into? Okay. I mean, look at him. Okay. Anyway, it was exciting times because we did like a print for almost everything we watched. Yeah. I made an Ajin print. You made a My Hero print. And
you made one. You actually made a Bakugo.
Oh, I did. My Bakugo is right here. Hey, look at that. Look at all these little fire effects. I still think this one holds up.
You think so?
I mean, like, for me, as in like this didn't sell at all. Yeah. I didn't sell a single one. I think you sold like a couple of yours in Anime Expo.
No? My Hero didn't sell at all that year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I really, really was hoping one person would buy this, but nobody really bought it. Yeah. So I think after the second convention this was up, I kind of terminated it. But this is my Bakugo. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I just said, our My Hero...
Oh, sorry for the podcast listeners. You kind of have to go to the YouTube channel to see. Yeah, to see that stuff. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
But as I just said, our My Hero prints didn't sell out all. And we had made I hustled and made like 30 different prints.
And other anime properties would sell too. I mean, it's
so
not,
like One Piece did well.
you had a Miyazaki one.
Yeah.
I had a Fullmetal Alchemist one that sold well.
I had like Phoenix Wright. Also like the older properties that are pretty well known in the US sold well. And the ones but we were banking on My Hero because we had already gotten kind of addicted to it, and we were like, this is the next hit shonen thing, the next One Piece, the next Naruto, because we predicted it. We were just like 4 years too early.
You were way too early, and like I said in the previous episode, we kind of planned these episodes, and then I was shocked when we kind of were like, okay, so when was the time we made art for My Hero? 2016. Whoa, 4 years ago.
Yeah, it just seems like this always happens to us. We make these predictions, and they don't really come into fruition till years later, and we go, man, we're just way too early. So we went to Anime Expo. We made these prints. We were like, I think I completely miscalculated the popularity of My Hero in the U.S. and I made like 10 prints or so. And when you're new at conventions, do not make 10 prints of anything,
especially when it's like the first run of your thing.
Yeah,
you don't know if it's gonna bomb or whatever.
But I remember being super confident in it, and it just did not. It never sold.
Yeah,
and. Yeah.
And then after that, we were sort of like, okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen and how My Hero is going to be received here. Maybe we are full of shit and we read the situation wrong.
Maybe we were wrong. Yeah.
Maybe we were wrong. So we completely ditched anime. Also, we stopped doing anime conventions altogether because we wanted to focus on the comic book con crowd.
The reason being, it just seemed like at the time, especially, anime wasn't really in mainstream culture yet.
Yeah, this is 2016, by the way.
Yeah. Things changed so fast. But it really wasn't super popular yet to be into anime. Now it just seems like it's not even
it's everywhere.
Yeah. Anyone can be into anime. It doesn't seem... There's no like weeb type that would typically be into anime. But we changed to comics because it just seemed like anime tends to have like a more juvenile audience. Not juvenile as in like immature, just young. And when you're younger, you just have less money to spend.
Yeah, it's just like your allowance. And then, whereas then we realized that a lot of the comic book people...
You're older.
You're older.
You have money.
You have money
to spend.
And also, as you heard, we dedicate a lot of research and time to make good prints that the fans really like. So to split, doing comic book work and really researching each character to make sure it's a print that really speaks to the character, and then do research on anime stuff. It's just like. It was easier to pick one or the other. So we sort of just fell off from anime after that, after 2016, 2017. Actually, 2016, because 2017 was when we focused on making this thing happen, Honey and Absinthe.
Yeah.
But after 2016, there really wasn't much going on in anime, and we were so laser focused on whatever it is we were laser focused on.
There's that too. I forgot that like after that season of anime, it just didn't interest us anymore because I think My Hero, how they always take breaks and stuff. I mean, other than Mob Psycho, there really wasn't anything that like spoke to us. Like I remember Attack on Titan coming back, and we were just kind of not into it.
And then Cabaneri was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but then, like,
Cabaneri did so well in Japan, but apparently didn't take off here.
And then it was like, it's cool. I don't know what it is, and you never know. Like that case in point. It's like. Sometimes things that do well over there don't do well here. Yeah.
So after that, there was like a lull in anime and nothing interesting was happening.
At least for us.
Yeah. So we were just like, we'll focus on comics, Western comics.
Yeah. And on, like the comic book hemisphere, it's like everything's reaching a boiling point with Endgame and Infinity War, and things were really peaking with the comic book crowd. So we really wanted to accommodate that, and now it's different. But that's a podcast for another day.
Yeah. But then why did we read? Oh, because we got on TikTok.
Okay, yeah. So I was about to say, like, how we segue into like how we rediscovered and discovered My Hero's immense popularity was through TikTok.
Yeah, it was. So I think we explained before in probably the TikTok versus Instagram episode of the podcast. I had been listening to Gary Vee a lot and thinking about like what moves I'd be making once I leave Disney. And I've been hearing a lot about this TikTok. And so we finally downloaded it. And I'm trying to like familiarize myself with the app and at least the art segment of the people who are on the app, or just the app in general. What is on it? Mm-hmm. And we discovered so many cosplayers who are doing amazing stuff on TikTok. And then they were all cosplaying My Hero. And I was
all of them, at least like 90% of them were My Hero. Mm-hmm. If not, maybe like Naruto or something else. But yeah, it was amazing. And there was a lot of My Hero fan art going around too. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like through TikTok, especially at that time, it was, I guess, October 2019. Mm-hmm. My Hero is blowing up.
Yeah. Like really around late last year.
Yeah.
Was like when it got super popular.
And it really took like almost 3 to 4 seasons for it to really, for people to really, for something that big to really settle in with a lot of audiences.
Yeah.
Especially the younger kids.
And yeah, that's when I realized like, oh, okay, the culture's shifting. Because what we noticed a lot too from being on TikTok is that it's cool to be into anime.
Yeah.
Which was, like, I got made fun of for being into anime growing up. Like, I was the weeb, like the cringy weeb, like that was friends with people who would dress up and like put. I tell the story to Vincent all the time. Someone made fun of me for in my cell phone. It has my name on it, like Janet Chan, and one of my friends laughed when she saw that because she thought I put Chan as in like
Janet Chan.
Yeah, like that. And I was like, that's my last name. I'm not. At that point, I was in high school. I was like, I'm not like that anymore. Okay. But yeah, it was popular to be in anime. Yeah. I was like, these people who I would never expected, like people who would probably bully me back in high school or middle school, were into anime.
Yeah, and you see these rappers and all sorts of actors like really talk openly about how much they like Dragon Ball or whatever it is, and it's really cool. I'm really feeling this, this feeling, guys. I'm really feeling. I'm not. I don't think I'm imagining things. Anime is really hot.
Yeah,
it's really, really hot right now.
So, what do you like or dislike about it now that we're like in
okay.
it?
So, what I like about it, I was thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's what I love about My Hero is that it's see, guys, we have a lot to do, okay? And we don't know the names. We don't even know the name of the person who made My Hero. Shame on us.
Oh, God.
But kudos to him. He made something amazing. But like, it's so obvious that the creator of My Hero is aware of, all the entire shonen landscape and is trying to honor that and trying to update that and trying to make it appealing even to and add new flavor by adding like a little bit of Western influence, like shocking enough. It's really cool to see how some of the things that I give Naruto shit for is like the really long arcs, the filler, some of the character arcs just go on and on and on and on. It just takes a while, but there's something about My Hero. The pacing is really good in terms of like getting the story along.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really like about it. It has a lot of my favorite moments. It's like when the guys at the class, what is it, 1A?
Yeah.
When the class 1A kids are like having their exams for the first time, it reminds me of the best of the tuning exams. And then we didn't even have like just to get to the tuning exams in Naruto, that's like almost like a season and a half or 2 seasons.
It's a long,
Like,
it's a lot of training.
time. It's a really, really, really long time before they finally before the characters finally compete against each other, or at least against each other in an aggressive way. And then in My Hero, that happens immediately in season 2. That's all season 2 is basically about, like them kind of sizing each other up and sussing each other out and really explaining this is the class and these are the characters you're going to have and these are the quirks they have. And really getting to know their characters, because each one of them has that thing of like, they seem to have really interesting backstories, and they seem to they have ambitions, they have goals. A lot of that kind of stuff that like I would think about when I would watch Naruto, about like, oh, I really like this character because I like the way they approach their goal, because everybody in Naruto just wants to be Hokage. Obviously, that's why they're there.
Yeah.
But everybody in UA wants to be the greatest hero of all time.
Yeah.
And that's what's really exciting, because everybody's approaching it in a different way. And, it's just, that's what I love about My Hero. It just really like honors all that comes before it. It advances it. It's awesome.
Yeah. For me, I have the same problem where, like, I like it because it's so fast paced. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of filler, which you hate, because that's just the MO of anime when we were growing up, to just have the summer episode. And this
the summer episode,
and
the hot springs episode.
Yeah. And My Hero rarely does that. But at the same time, I feel like certain events could be milked for longer.
Yeah.
Because like I actually didn't get into One Piece until college, and I have such great respect for the way Oda draws.
Let's just throw our cards on the table and say Oda makes the best arcs, at least that we've encountered. Yeah.
Yeah.
From first act to whatever.
Yeah.
From start to finish, Oda makes some great acts.
He makes you cry.
Yeah.
He makes you feel, and then the characters keep the things that they learned or the things that they gained after the arc, and then they're like changed forever, and the team is changed forever. And not to mention, like, Oda is such a great drawer, and he takes time off just to learn how to be better at drawing. That's crazy. And just seeing, so I started from 0, literally not even 1. I started from like the chapter that manga artists have to draw as like a test before it's officially like in Jump. So I started from 0 or 000, whatever it's called. And I caught up to, I think, like chapter 500. It's that like, I don't know, 800 now or something like that. But I caught up to like chapter 500 at the time for One Piece. And I just remember thinking, oh, okay, it took a really long time for me to really get into this thing, because I didn't like One Piece right off the bat. Just like I didn't, I wasn't super in love with My Hero either right off the bat. But it took me until like chapter 500 to be like, I understand. Like these arcs, they're really long for a reason, and they pay off.
Yeah.
Like they really pay off.
He really milks it at the end.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And like that's what I kind of love about Naruto and these shonen mangas and animes.
Share real briefly one of your favorite arcs, just to sort of dissect for everyone why he's so good at what he does.
It's hard to remember because I binged it while at Art Center, so a lot of it's like hazy for me.
That's true.
But I think I remember it might have been Aesop's storyline.
Yeah.
Where I felt like, oh, this is so good. Like that's why his name is Aesop, and like it's why he lies a lot. It's why, like, and then like he slowly becomes a better person through the entire story, and it's amazing to see. Like, you hate him at first. I hated him, at least.
Yeah, he's kind of annoying at first.
But I think that's the case with like even like Naruto. Like you spend so much time with each individual character, and to like really have the time to fall in love with them, or at least understand them a little bit more. With My Hero, at least in the anime, I can't really say for the manga because we haven't read it, but I suspect that you get more time with each character, and you probably don't have the same issue if you read it. But in the anime, it just feels lacking. Like that's it. That was fast.
Yeah.
They wrapped up that storyline really, really, really fast. And I just wish there was more. Like, I think that's a good sign, too, that I wish there was more.
Yeah.
I wish you developed the characters more. I wish there was more time. Like, I remember thinking it's really funny that, God, what's his name? Red hair. Kirishima. That he's given so much time.
Yeah. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Like, why not any of the other characters? I mean, some of them do. Like, Ida has his own arc with his brother, but then, like, it just seems arbitrary what character gets like a huge amount of attention and what doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. But I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where he has it all planned out. Like, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
Where every character has their spotlight, because Kirishima has a lot to do, especially in season 4.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's strange. That's odd. Why him? of all the characters, why him?
Also, Kirishima's interesting, and like this is going to be all over the place, but like I like Kirishima. Just a few words about Kirishima, because like I want to like read the manga of My Hero where Kirishima is the main character, because Kirishima seems like the standard like shonen. I'm the main character of this story. I have a chip on my shoulder, literally, like all this stuff. Like especially that arc, and I'm sure you guys who watch the show know what I'm talking about with Fat Gum. It just feels like if this had to be all about Kirishima instead of Midoriya,
it would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
Yeah, and then there are some characters that are just lacking.
Yeah, like Froppy had that thing with that seal dude, which was one of the first instances, which I would say I guess that's like a filler episode. Like nothing like. Froppy just has like this little mini adventure and that's it. But like even that, like I wish that they kind of taken more care with that, or taken the opportunity to develop Froppy, or for us to learn something about Froppy or something.
Or even like the internships or the work studies or whatever. It just seems so like glazed over. Or normally when in shonen mangas, when they have the period of training.
Yeah, like when Naruto is with Pervy Sage, that was a while. That was that's a good chunk of anime.
Yeah.
But like what is that? The internship arc for My Hero, it's like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah. It was so fast.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, that's it? Usually there's like they really suck, and then they get kind of better.
And then they learn a special power that the sensei has. And it's like, oh wow.
But they just kind of like, we did an internship. Came back. So that's just something that I wish was just milked for longer, because I think it would just make everything more worth it at the end. Like I think the beginning and the end could stay the same. Just add more of the middle, which is what TV shows and animes do so good at.
Yeah, usually. Yeah. When we saw My Hero coming up again, especially on TikTok, I guess let's talk about briefly you doing all the characters, and how we couldn't take it anymore, so we have a subscription for Funimation. Yeah. So we understood that like My Hero is becoming really big, and we were already relatively familiar. Now, remember, we didn't have any contact with My Hero since 2016.
Yeah.
Since 2016.
Yeah.
So we're like in the
4
blind.
years behind.
Actually, I actually kept up with it until like beginning of season 3. But by then, I think most of you people were already, most of you guys, most of everybody watching, or we're probably around season 4. So we're basically like, at least I was like a season and a half behind. So I was trying to tell you like, okay, this character does this. And then people were requesting characters where I'm like, who the heck is this person? Like I have no idea who this is. It was fun. It was fun, like reacquainting so you drawing the My Hero characters were basically us reacquainting ourselves with the property again.
Yeah. And maybe I should like reveal the secret of why I do these drawings, which I kind of touched on in a previous episode, I think. WonderCon was coming out, and
yeah, that's right.
It was like early March,
Yeah.
late February, sometime after like I had quit Disney,
And usually in comic book conventions, we like to have at least a batch of original art to sell to people.
yeah, and we had done a huge binge of a lot of our original art, everything in our inventories for conventions, because I knew that I was going to quit Disney. I'm going to focus on this full time, and on top of that, we wanted to slowly shift from doing a lot of fan art to doing maybe like half and half, like fan art, original personal art, like for us, stuff related to our Honey and Absinthe brand, something that's just not any other people's IPs and stuff like that. But I also understood that like I can't just jump cold turkey into original work like that, because I think people who do that are brave, but like it's gonna be a really hard time for you to make money.
Right.
So I knew I need not only that, I had been working at Disney for so long that I didn't have a lot of time to commit to traditional work. So usually what we do before a convention season is we make all these commissioned samples / original art that people can buy on site without having to commission us. And it saves us time.
It's also a great way to show people what we're capable of
Yeah.
and their favorite character in the style.
Yeah. But it warms us up, because it's pretty hard to draw on the spot with people watching you and to give something you're not embarrassed of, or you want to give people their money's worth. So I was like, okay, so WonderCon is coming up. Something happens, and then you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And so I started off with like Momo, and then or Toga. I forget which one.
Toga
was first,
Momo.
and then Momo. And yeah, people got like the reception for it was crazy. Like we also knew too that like from our past year of conventions that comics fandom was dying, and people were losing steam. And we had long conversations about this, about how we want to get back into anime, because that's truly where our passions lie.
We always kind of felt a little, disingenuous, not disingenuous, but like we couldn't speak from an authority when we're making art for comic books. As much as we like enjoy those properties, our bread and butter, our roots are with anime and manga.
Yeah. So we were kind of like, we were making another prediction that comics, for better for worse, it's catered to the 80s crowd, the children of the 80s, people who grew up with comics in that way. It's not really actually for our generation and below, because we were kind of inducted into it. We like it, but we didn't grow. It's not nostalgic to us like it is for the 80s kids. So we were like, I bet since things are shifting now, they're going to cater to the 90s kids now, which is what we are. And what are we? We're people who really like anime.
Yeah, you're seeing some of it bleed in already. You're seeing Pokemon, you're seeing, Alita, like anime properties finally coming to the big screen, and people sort of digging it, people appreciating it, people enjoying it. It's doing pretty well in the box office for sure.
Yeah. And so we made this prediction. We're like, okay, let's go all in on this anime thing, because like we said, it's impossible to try to do both, to do comics and to be as well researched as we are, and then to also do the same thing for there's just too much content to do that for. So we picked anime, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do these original art pieces on TikTok, and the reception, it was crazy, like much more than I thought it would be. Like I thought it would have some, obviously because it's fan art, but the amount of people who like
My Hero
was crazy. Yeah. And the dedication and the fandom to it is crazy. And I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing it. And it turned into a whole thing. Which is great, because like I'm getting commissions all the time to do
for these characters,
and It's fun. It seems like, especially
It's good practice too, at the very least.
because back in 2016 when we were doing anime expos, a lot of anime expos, we were offering commissions back then too, and it was always really hard for us to keep interested because anime characters, especially the more obscure ones, they all kind of look the same, and it's hard to differentiate them from each other. And especially if you change it even a little bit into your own style, you practically can't recognize them anymore. So what we found is like when people would commission us, they basically wanted what they saw in their anime, and they didn't want what we could bring to it. And part of it is not necessarily their fault or our fault. It's just the anime needs to look like that in order to look like that recognizable character. But with My Hero, the way that they're designed and the way that they're taking a lot from like Western comics and stuff like that. So I could redesign it in a way, in my own style, in a way that I'm actually more comfortable in drawing, and to make it interesting for myself too. Like I don't like drawing the same face or the same character over and over again. I'm going to change it up every once in a while. So to be able to do that with an anime character was really neat too. And to have so many characters to pick from and to be like, okay, this is what my interpretation of this character would look like. And people are into that. They don't want it to look exactly like that. They want to see how I would do it. And like it's fun too because like I get to age them however I want. Like I can age them up, I can age them down, I can there's certain elderly characters you're turning into like young spry I don't know 30-somethings or something. It's just a fun exercise for me, really. And at the end of the day, it was the original intent was just like, this is practice. These were to just have some samples for a convention, but that's I don't know. What was the original creation of Dr. Pepper for or whatever? Just like sports tonic, and now it's like a big drink. So things that weren't intended to be sometimes just end up being a thing for some reason. But yeah, now that do you want to talk more about like the future of anime, where it's going? Because I want to talk. I want to go like, full spoilers. We're going to talk about our favorite shit about My Hero a little bit after this. Oh, okay.
So let's talk about like the future or whatever, and then we can like dig into like just our favorite nitty gritty moments in the show.
Well, I guess like I just said, I truly believe the future of pop culture in the very, very near future is going to be centered around the 90s kids because Hollywood...
They chase the money.
Yeah. And they've kind of milked the 80s kids
to
dry.
Death. I mean, look at the state of Marvel right now. Yeah. Look, I mean, literally look at it, guys.
Like not pretty.
It's not good.
And not that like they're out of money, but like they're out of fucks to give.
Yeah.
Like they don't care anymore. And it feels like too, like it's obviously pandering to them and they're not for it anymore. Because, I mean, you see, like, for example, like Ghostbusters and all these properties that, like, you can just keep doing sequel upon sequel of, like, existing 80s properties, 80s nostalgia. But, like, there's, like, they don't care anymore. It's like you burnt them out. They're out of excitement.
Yeah.
But
and they probably, like, have other shit to deal with at this point. I mean, they've been milking the 80s crowd since... I mean, to definitively say since like Stranger Things, even before that, Super 8, like things like that. It's been on for a while. Yeah, and I really feel like as we millennials climb up in age, a lot of us, I mean, as you can see, you work at Warner Brothers, I worked at Disney. We're slowly climbing up that ladder of we're gonna start making movies and TV shows and about things that we like. And we're not saying us, like people who are around our age.
Yeah.
very soon are going to start making the content that you love.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because it's like we weren't being served. Like how we've been asking for anime movies for so long.
Yeah.
Like at this point, I don't even care if it's bad. It's just like a stepping stone to get to good.
I mean, look at how many bad comic book movies there had to be to like for there to be a really
good one.
Yeah. So I don't mind if that happens. Like I don't mind.
And so like to see Alita or like Pokemon
up there in the big screen, it was really emotional for me to watch. But like,
Yeah.
guys, it was a big deal as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old watching Pokemon, and then whatever it was, a 26, 27-year-old watching Pokemon at the big screen. It was like, wow, this is real. This is what I've always wanted. Always.
But always like in the back of our heads knew that like
impossible,
like technologically impossible. But
like what
now,
kind of story, like thematically, story wise, like how are you gonna make that work? That's ridiculous. And it's really neat that they chose this like smaller story to kind of introduce the mainstream audiences to the Pokemon.
Yeah, and I love how like all the hoity-toity film critics just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, some of them enjoyed it. Kermode really liked it. Kermode was just like, "Oh wow, Bill Nighy at the end there that was really neat." Like, and it was like, "Oh well, I mean, like, there's something for people to like."
Yeah, like I think the smart ones understand. Like, oh, this is a good movie.
And this clearly isn't for me.
Yeah, this clearly isn't for me.
I'm literally walking into a party that I was not really invited to. And I'm just observing like the crowd, but for the most part, this is enjoyable. I guess. Yeah.
But like it was so neat. It's just neat, like to see, and then seeing the like fan reaction versus seeing the like critical reaction was really interesting too. It reminded me of comic book movies.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to like get your head out of your ass
a little bit,
and like understand that like. You might just not be in the culture. You just might not understand.
Like, it's just weird. I know, like, little monsters running around. It's weird. But, like, I don't know, like, you know, modern contemporary gods walking among us, that's pretty weird, too. Like, you just have to, like, get used to the weird, the different kind of weird that you're not used to.
I always said...
Because it's all weird.
It is. I mean, the thing that's different that I particularly thought that would have to be a huge change in people's expectations for anime movies is anime movies either need to be super westernized and taken all the like Japanese culture out of it and westernizing it, which
people are gonna get mad about that.
Yeah, that's
but
one
in order
way.
for it to sort of, I know, like you know, this is how it is, like to work with a mass audience.
Yeah, which is like Live Die Repeat, for example, was actually an anime.
Fantastic, or like just written by just like I think a manga artist or something like that.
Yeah, and then it was
turned into a manga and then turned into what it is.
But like, so that's one way of doing it, which is not what I wanted, because it's like you're taking out all the things that make anime and manga special. And yes, it's kind of weird. Yes, it won't make sense to a Western audience. But what you could also do is just embrace the weirdness.
Yeah.
Embrace the things that don't necessarily make sense to a Western audience, but like the people who know. And the people who... And those
it's
are
not that hard to get or embrace, or at least to just suspend your disbelief for just a second.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. They're just things that are... I guess, in my opinion, I think would rub Western audiences the wrong way because it'd be like taken out of the movie a little bit or whatever. But seeing Pokemon made me realize that, as we age up, we don't need to be we don't need to get used to the weirdness because we grew up with it and we love it.
Yeah.
So suddenly there's like a huge group of people who are really down for something like the Pokemon movie, who are okay with all the weird like Japaneseness to it. And it made me think like,
this could work.
This is the starting point of a whole lot, like so many movies that haven't been done, so many stories that haven't been done yet. Because we in the West tend to be really full of ourselves, and like we don't appreciate world cinema and other art forms. Like, for example, I knew of Your Name when it came out. I watched it, I loved it, and for it to get snubbed, I was like, Westerners, people in Hollywood just don't care about anything but Hollywood. But it's nice to see that now that we're the 90s kids are going. I predict at least we're going to be the ones being catered to in the near future, especially with anime. Like, oh my God, there's so many properties that I want anime movies to be made of.
Yeah. Oh, some real quick right now. I want a HBO Fullmetal Alchemist. I don't see why that's not a bad. Like, I don't see how you can't tell me that's not a good idea. Like, please, I'd love to know. I'd love to have you explain to me why that wouldn't be amazing. Because in my mind, in every single way, just like my favorite HBO shows, or the amount of budget that they have, like for something like even like The Watchmen, to something like Game of Thrones, like to have that amazing story, which fighting words, Fullmetal Alchemist is on par with Harry Potter. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good story. And like, no one's going to disagree with me on that. It's a very, very, very beautifully told fantasy. It's like, it's up there with the greats, with Star Wars and Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. I'd say Fullmetal Alchemist is up there. Brotherhood. Obviously, specifically Brotherhood, not the original. But Brotherhood is up there as like one of the greatest fantasy adventures ever told.
Yeah, there's like morality, conspiracy,
sacrifice, conspiracy.
It's very
power,
human, a very human.
There's even like
drama.
a genocide arc, and like there's all sorts of like crazy like stuff like reflecting about human history and stuff. It's so neat. But like to have that as an HBO show, I mean, Cowboy Bebop's coming out as a Netflix thing, which is neat. I've always seen that as like more of a movie thing.
Yeah, and I always thought Sailor Moon as a CW show.
Sailor Moon as a CW style, like really teen, like really like milking to the teen. Like guys, like this is such a great property for that.
Like beautiful girls transforming.
And boys,
And beautiful girls and boys.
In sailor outfits,
in
like
high
fighting
school?
crime with kittens,
with a romance, like romance drama.
Sparkles everywhere.
There's even like a lesbian couple. Like come on.
It's everything you need in 2020, I guess. Like everything you'd want. Like and like it does fit the CW format because it's a very it's very about romance. It's very about like I want to get with Tuxedo Mask. It's very about like that like touch and go romance thing.
And your like future daughter comes out and you're like not ready to like.
It's like they're doing that shit on the Flash. It's like who cares? I'm your future baby daddy. Like don't tell me it's weird. You do it too, in just a different way. There's a lot of like if anime is the future, it's a future that I'm noticing that video game movies, I think it's going to be it's a package.
Yeah.
I think it's both anime and video game movies.
I think so too.
And like there's a lot of criticism about why both would never work. That's fine. But I don't know. They found like idiot contemporary Greek gods wearing like underwear outside of their like pants cool. So like I don't see why they can't make little monsters running around cool or chasing evil spirits.
Yeah, I don't like the like coming up with reasons why it wouldn't work because I think that's just lazy.
Yeah, like why are you doing that?
And like comic book movies didn't work for a really long time until it did. And like these stories, they're universal clearly because there's huge like Anime Expo is huge. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm betting that Anime Expo is bigger than San Diego Comic-Con at this point. Like it's the audience. Hollywood needs to embrace this audience because if Hollywood cares about dollars, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of dollars to be made.
Yeah, who would pay you good money to make whatever, like a My Hero live action movie. Like maybe people aren't ready for it yet, but like, or whatever. It's like it needs to happen if you want the money.
And like I hear, so one of the criticisms I hear all the time is that like not all stories need to be turned into like a Hollywood blockbuster or whatever. But like for me, what I think about is like I want to see how normal people feel like when Shinji looks up into the sky and sees Satchel, the angel, for the first time. I want to know what people will feel like when Spike and Vicious are fighting in that church and then Spike falls down and the church explodes. I want to be there for the layman to like really experience those anime milestones that we all like adore and love. Like I want to know what people feel like when Sasuke and Itachi meet for the first time. Like how's that going to be? I wonder what people feel like when Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask kiss for the first time. Like I want to be there. Like I want people to experience those like milestones and like even though like like there's a lot of stories that are told and there's a lot of debate on whether or not it should fit whatever format, but like I'm just at a point where just like I want people to like I just want to share the stuff that I love with other people. It's just that simple for me. Like because we love it so much. Like we talked ad nauseum for about a little bit more than an hour.
Oh my God.
How much we love anime.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. That like people think, oh, not everything needs like a big Hollywood movie or
but that's
budget.
a criticism.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a criticism. Like, why not?
Yeah.
If there's someone willing to pay for it, why not? Because
we'd make it ourselves if we could.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
If I could make some like Sailor Moon TV show, like live action.
If you could make a CW Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh my God.
Go.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Like a bunch of hot boys running around saving the day.
Like with their like, they're half burnt and like they're half shirtless because their shirt like exposed because he's doing the little battle things with people.
It's basically that one wolf show.
Yeah. Like wolf. What is it? Wolf. The wolf boy.
Yeah, well, the
wolf
one.
Man.
You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
God, I didn't even think about that till just now.
That would be a great CW show. CW tween teens type show. That'd be great.
It doesn't even need to be good. It can be campy.
Yeah.
And I'd be so down for it.
Oh my God, we should like make it like period like specific. Like there's like it's 80s
like
but
80s?
Like anime 80s. Like they're wearing like a really goofy baggy like
the
uniforms.
pompadour.
Yeah, the pompadour.
And like the jeans, like the 80s jeans. Oh my God. I want that. But yes, anime is the future. Fight me. I believe it.
So lastly, man, where is this? 1 hour and 11 minutes. Let's talk for maybe like 20-30 minutes about like just some of our favorite things about My Hero. Favorite story points, favorite characters. For me right now, I'll talk about my favorite character in the entire show.
Okay.
Overhaul. The dude. He's the man. He's okay. So this is why I love Overhaul so much. I think he's one of the best anime villains I've seen in a long time. Compelling. Very, very, very compelling. I like his motivation. I think it's super sinister. Sorry. Full spoilers right now. We want to speak freely about what we love about My Hero. So we don't want to be considerate.
Spoiler alert.
To you if you haven't like reached a certain part of the show.
Yeah.
So we watched up until season 4.
Yeah.
So if you're not there, you have been warned right now in 3, 2, 1, spoiler alert. Okay. Yeah. So the whole thing with Overhaul and Eri and taking her blood and all of that stuff is super sinister and super like fucked up, but like, there's a certain aura, that certain like, Agent of Chaos Joker aura that Overhaul has with his crew that like, and he has like, even though he's like a really bad dude, he's a bad dude with principles too, which kind of like makes you like him a lot. Like he's a really, really, really likable villain, which like, you see some of them in anime, like I can't think of any on the top of my head. Cause there are those like Vegeta who were like bad, but then they turn out good. But like Overhaul's legit like a really bad guy. Yeah. But that whole arc in season 4 from like episode 1 or episode 2 or whatever it is to like when Midoriya basically straps Eri on like a fucking battery and does what he does to and basically fucks Overhaul up. Like that whole arc is amazing to me because it's like, man, look at this villain who like doesn't feel campy and has all the contemporary like edge to like something you see in like a contemporary, like a Nolan WB horror, like Nolan WB superhero movie. Like he has that like edge to him that I really like. And to your point about how like arcs go by too fast, like for you people who know, like after Midoriya uses Eri like a battery and pummels
Overhaul.
Overhaul. He gets screwed by the hands guy,
Yeah.
the handsy man.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ends, and it kind of just seems like it's over for Overhaul after
Yeah.
that beat. And it just seems like, and my feeling was this. It's like, you invested so much in this amazing character, like this amazing character that like I was hoping, obviously, when I was watching Midoriya beat him up, I was like, okay, so he's gonna, probably go away for a while and hopefully he comes back because he's so great. He's so great. But then as soon as the handsy man takes away his hands, takes away Overhaul's hands, which is basically the source of his power, I think.
Shigaraki. I remember his
Shigaraki.
name.
Handsy man Shigaraki. Handsy man Shigaraki removes Overhaul's hands. It's almost like, well, then you're screwed then. Then it's like, And then for me, it's like, then that's it then for this super amazing character. And I have to deal with Shigaraki's like emotional daddy issues bullshit for like the rest of the show. Yeah. And which sucks because it's like, like what made Overhaul super good was you obviously would contrast him with Shigaraki because he's such a poor leader for his like band of villains. And then you see Overhaul who like, he has his shit together. He has his own group of villains that's just so much more efficient than Shigaraki's group of villains. And it's just like, man, Overhaul is the man.
Yeah, he was definitely the first compelling villain of the show for me, because I remember, what's his name? Stain, the terrorist.
Oh yes, the Todd McFarlane looking dude.
Yeah. He was okay, and then Shigaraki.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Like, this is like a villain with a manifesto and like super duper principles and things.
Which I thought was neat, like a neat idea. His character was really neat, but it always really disappointed me that Shigaraki was like the main villain, because he's just so not evil enough. Yeah, like he's not scary or threatening to me. He's cool looking, I guess, if you like get his close up with his hand. Yeah, but other than that, he's just not. He doesn't do anything. He's kind of weak. He's kind of lame, and he whines a lot.
He does. And then, like, he really looks up to, what is it? Was that?
All for one?
One for all? One for all?
All for one.
All for one. All for one? Isn't all for one All Might's power?
I thought one for all is...
One for all.
Because it's one for all. And not all for one.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. All for... When it's revealed, like, why... all for one, his relationship with Shigaraki, it's like, he doesn't give two shits about Shigaraki, but then Shigaraki is just like, senpai, please notice me.
I'm the chosen one.
I am the chosen one. And then meanwhile, like, all for one's like,
no,
I'm just using you, kid. like
this moment, you were just a spite thing.
Yeah.
Just to spite
my rival. Just to really twist the knife.
When you realize that.
What is it like? It's his senpai. It's All Might Senpai's something. Grandson, something like that. Yeah. So it's like, oof, you got him. You fucking got him.
But when I realized that's what that character is, I was like, how am I supposed to respect you as a villain? That's true,
and it's just like, then you're just like, I don't know. I'm sure he could, since he has good in him. Genes, I don't know, in him. I don't know how this works, but maybe he'll have like a redemption arc. Maybe, but like still, it's like I do not like him as a villain at all, and I don't know where they're going. We haven't went past 4. I know it's past that now.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's gonna happen now.
Yeah.
That Shigaraki's the villain again after Overhaul, which like Overhaul had such a good arc. It was so good, guys. I loved it so much, and I hope you're with me. Like, I really, really liked it. I wish you were there. I would go, let's go, let's go. Like the whole thing with Mirio and Overhaul. I would go like, let's go, Mirio. Don't give up, bro.
Yeah, I really liked Overhaul versus Mirio. Yeah. That was like probably my favorite moment in the anime so far. Because Mirio was built up enough. Like, my problem was, like, these characters aren't built up enough. Like, you don't understand their motivations. You don't understand why they are the way they are. And you don't have any real reason to care about them other than the fact that the show tells you to care about them because they're friends with Midoriya or whatever. Which is, for me, not a good enough reason for me to fall in love with a character. So a lot of people on TikTok will ask me, like, who's your favorite character? And I really don't have one. yet.
At that time, especially when like we didn't like reacquaint ourselves with My Hero.
It's
again.
hard because I kind of like all of them the same. I just kind of like all of them. But with that one, I don't even like super particularly like Mirio or Overhaul. I just like that arc. That
It's a good
moment.
arc. Yeah.
Because I really liked the idea of like Mirio was really, really bad at his power. And then he worked really hard to seem like he's really powerful.
It's like effortless.
It's effortless, yeah. It's like such a great like metaphor for when you're young and you're looking up to someone and to like you assume they're just like this. They were born with this amazing gift and they're just meant to be like the next great superhero, the next whatever. And then you realize like, oh no, like, or they maybe tell you, I had to work. You think that I was just born like this? No, I worked really, really hard.
You know how hard it was to make this look easy?
Yeah.
It was really hard.
And then to see him like keep going even after like his powers are taken away is like, oh, my heart. It like finally this anime did the thing that like One Piece would do. We're like, oh, my heart.
Yeah. Like, and those heart throb moments would happen to me a lot where I'm like literally telling you, I'm like squeezing your like thigh. I'm like, anime. It's so good.
You like crying.
Like several like the moments I can think. Obviously, it's the All Might versus Overhaul. Like All Might versus All for One thing where All Might pretty much expends all his powers. Was very like, and then like you're next, and then Midoriya ugly crying. It was just like I was ugly crying with Midoriya. Like, like, and it's like a little inside joke or inside thing that you have between Midoriya, All Might, and the audience. And then like Kachan's doing like looking over her shoulder, like I'm on to you, motherfucker. You're with All Might. You made it actually a little too obvious. For me. You made it a little too obvious for me. Deku.
Oh God. Yeah, I thought that was amazing, and I think like too. Overhaul is so intimidating.
He is.
I like how intimidating.
God, I don't know who the voice actor is for Overhaul.
Oh, he's so good.
What a great dub.
Yeah.
Like, guys,
like
that Overhaul dub. Damn.
I like how his voice crackles.
Yeah.
And how like he doesn't sound like a typical villain.
Yeah, and he doesn't sound like a typical anime voice.
Yeah.
You really get the sense of like, which is the first time I feel like in ever, not since Cowboy Bebop, where I like felt like, oh, this character through his voice and acting just like oozes, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, and I really, really don't care.
I think we tried listening to it in Japanese too, just to see if he was taking cues from the Japanese voice actor. It's completely different. So I was like, oh, that's really neat.
Yeah,
and really neat choice.
Whoever it was, whoever you are, shout out to you. You really made him your own.
Yeah.
And him as menacing for us Westerner sensibilities. Good job.
Yeah. Like he's not, he is what he is. He's like I would assume like a 20-something-year-old young man. Yeah. And he sounds like it, but he's also really intimidating.
Yeah.
And that arc too, for me, I think at a certain age, I gravitated towards like seinen manga rather than shonen.
Because you're such an old lady.
I just like darker, thriller type genres, I think. And so the fact that it got as dark in that arc as it
got
did,
like seinen dark.
Yeah. Like I kind of would have wished that I would have been able to see Overhaul like disintegrate Eri sometimes.
Oh,
just to like get that dark.
That dark.
Yeah. Because like you know it happens. I just kind of want to know. Like do it. But that's the like agent of chaos in me. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah. That whole like season 4 was incredible. I think that's season 4, right? Yeah. It was awesome.
But immediately after that, I got so disappointed when Shigaraki cuts his hands off or whatever.
I was like, what?
But really? That's how he goes out?
Really?
That's so upsetting. I'm so upset. Now I have to just deal with Shigaraki again? Like, no, don't do this to me.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, do you have any more favorite stuff or stuff that you hate, or like that's just basically like that was a very captivating thing. Like it took like, you know, like the first season. I always tell people just like who just want to really get into it and get into the heart of the matter just to skip to season 2, even though they're skipping so much context. It's just like Season 2 is where you really get to see the kids interact with each other, which is always the best part in any shonen thing. And then season 3, you get like they graduate, they do more important stuff, they learn special abilities.
Yeah.
But then season 4 is like, oh, okay, let's like drop these characters into some high stakes, like really, really high stakes situations.
I mean, my favorite moments. So this is what I was thinking as we got into like season 4, that like the manga artist's writing really takes off in season 4. And I always notice this because I've read so much manga and watched so much anime. Manga artists, they start out kind of like rocky because you're learning and you're getting better and you yourself are getting familiarized with your own characters and everything. So I forgive like tiny mistake, they're not mistakes. They're just like more lesser interesting storylines at the beginning because they're figuring it out. But like once you really get into it, like season 4 usually seems like it gets like the storytelling gets better.
Right. I want to say like Naruto season 3 or 4 is when the Chunin exams come, and that's like to me the most interesting part by far in Naruto to that point. And to see My Hero in season 4 have this amazing, like really dark arc, but really edgy dark arc, but then full of heart with Mirio, and the whole thing about Mirio and Midoriya not being able to save Eri at first and how it tortures them is really like it's heavy. Yeah. It's like a really heavy season, heavy, hearty, like emotional season.
Yeah, it was. It makes me think like, oh, okay, he's really coming into his own with his storytelling abilities starting from now. I can't say for whatever happens in the movie because I haven't watched the movie.
Yeah, we literally are done with the 4th season.
Like I had to, because I do commissions, like spoil myself with the movie. But at the same time, it's like I don't really care about spoilers because it's not really about the knowledge of what happens. It's about how to get there. Definitely. So I still feel like I don't know what the heck. I know what happens, but I don't know why. And I have no emotional attachment to why. So like it doesn't feel like I got spoiled at all. So I am really excited to see where this goes, because if this is anything like Naruto, like we think it is, it's gonna keep going forever. Yeah. Like My Hero is gonna be like Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god!
Keep going.
Naruto, the original run had 12 plus seasons, and then Shippuden had another 8 plus. He's like, this could happen with My Hero too, where we have them as their age now, and then they age them up, and then they're kids.
Yeah, and then there's like Boruto or whatever.
Oh my god! Yeah.
So like imagine we discovered Naruto happened when I was 12 and you were 13, and isn't it like still going right now?
Yeah, with Boruto.
So like
burrito, I'd say. Like
over 10 years later, it's still so it's
still going.
I think My Hero is here to stay for a really long time.
And it's the newest thing. It's like super fresh.
So new, yeah.
It's super, super hot. So I'm really excited to see what happens next. Janet and I just like are really busy people, so our best way of consuming anime content specifically is dubbed. So we're just gonna wait for that shit to become dubbed.
Yeah.
But we're really excited, and we sat here on this couch and watched every single like episode of season 4, and we're riveted. Yeah. Being riveted.
We're always going to be kind of behind to everyone because we're busy, but we'll watch it eventually if you tell us to.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, we hoped you enjoyed the very first episode of the Honey and Absinthe Coffee Break podcast.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see you next time. Listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you listen to podcasts, YouTube. That's how, honestly, we get this podcast monetized if you want to support us. And I am wearing the fight shirt right now. Right before this recording this episode, we got some shirt orders. So get them before they're gone at honeyandabsinthe.com. Follow us at Honey and Absinthe on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And then we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.